And I'll go to City Manager. City Manager, is there a report for council or any comments you might wish to make?
Thank you, Mayor, and through to council. So the report before you is an information report, and it's just to provide council on the public agenda with where we're at and what we know about the Minister of Transportation's highway improvements in regards to Highway 2. This has garnered a lot of attention with our community, and Council Agenda Review Committee had asked that we put a report on so that it could be brought forward to the meeting today. There are a couple of key points that I want to have for council and make sure that they're heard by our community. And the first being, this is a provincial transportation project. This is not a city-initiated project or something that we are wanting to lead or do. This is coming from the province. The city has been meeting with the province to stay informed and raise considerations such as park impacts, and we have asked for additional consultation with our community. The province does not have a capital construction budget approved for the area near the Alberta Sports Hall of Fame. It is in its infancy, where the province is trying to determine what the budget may be and the design so that they can submit that as part of their budget request when the province does their deliberations on budget. This is why they've been doing soil testing, and some of that work is really to firm up that number to go into their budget. Lastly, the city knows parks are important to our citizens. And once we get a proposal from the government of Alberta, then we can begin to determine what our best position for our city and park system will be, and that will come to council. So with that, we are available to answer questions, but knowing that this is a provincial project, we may not have the answers to your questions today.
Thank you, City Manager. Council, I'm going to open it up for questions. The report, forgive me for not referencing it, is on page 66 and 7. So, Councillor Barnstable, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. I really just have one overarching broad question, and it pertains to point 3 on page 66, which talks about council considers part of our response. Throughout this process, starting now until that point, and even moving forward, what is council's role in this? Because we've been obviously receiving concerns from members of the community. It is a provincial decision. Is there a way that council can advocate against it? Is there a way that council can advocate for it? Or do we just sit silently up until a decision is made and then we are approached? Do we even have, will there even possibly be something that comes forward to council? Could this be something that the province just decides to go ahead with without our approval? Just wanted to know what council's role is in terms of this on a broad spectrum.
Yeah, it's an excellent question, Councillor Barnstable. If the province was rolling out a new therapy for a disease at the hospital today, council would have no role in that. But council does have a role, a major, frankly, role in this, in that it impacts a public amenity, our park system. It's a sort of first impact. It would have a corresponding impact on neighborhoods that in proximity, if you will, and so forth. There was also that, and really, Councillor, when you think of it, what we have is, for want of a better word, an accidental expressway to the north and south of our city. I mean, 32nd and 67th Street on Highway 2 was never, at least in my mind, so I can check with Mr. Watts, contemplated as that's a city street. That's not a city street, and so on. We have, when I say we, I would say the mayor's office has been proactive in this. In the spring, when these conversations came to my ear, I decided to engage the minister and so on, and broaden. Not that I really didn't quote unquote need to broaden his perspective, but to ensure that any alteration to the park system, any alteration to our citizens and their use and enjoyment and so on would need to be fully fleshed out and so on. And that would still be, I won't be the mayor, etc. We all know this, but there is a role for the advocacy piece and so on. So council may wish this afternoon to further the mayor's office with continual conversation. I'm not sure that's the will of council for today, but your question is very well put. If this, as I say, there's very few projects more precious, very few areas more precious to our citizens than our park system. You're a quote unquote river person, water person. You'll understand, all those things. I'm confident. I'm very confident that we can strike a balance. But at this point, as city manager is saying, we have a very preliminary project. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, and maybe this is more of a rhetorical question, but just from some of my experiences on council, is there are times when the province can step in and override a council decision or a council advocacy position, whether it be unanimous or not. And so I'm trying to, maybe not set the stage, but trying to get an understanding of, is that's a possibility in this? If council were to come out and say, we don't support the highway changing to a direction through this piece of land, the province could at some point step in and say, well, we're going to do it anyways. I just want to understand, is that a possibility? Because I've seen that with other situations and issues that we've raised in the city of Red Deer prior.
What do you think?
So through the mayor, the province does have tools and to override municipal governments. And in doing that, in this case, because it would involve land, it would be done through the tool that's called expropriation. And so that is always a last resort, but that is a possibility.
Okay. Thank you. That was the answer that I didn't want to hear, but I think I knew.
No, I will say, Councillor, my early conversations with the province is they're looking for a win-win here. There's no interest, none at all, in sort of exercising the ultimate authority here, and so on. Which is why I say I have a sense that once we know all of the facts, what's on the table, how this is going to unfold, we'll come up with a situation that honors the intent of the province, which is to address that corridor and the safety impacts, speed impacts of that corridor, and the city's concerns as well. I have every confidence.
Thank you. And at this point, it's too early to get into some of those details until we find out more.
Yeah, yes. I mean, I think that's fair because we'd only be speculating, and that doesn't really get us productively going forward.
Perfect. Thank you for the answers.
All right. Thank you. Councillor Bruma.
Thank you very much for the update, Mayor Johnson. I'm just wondering, through that discussion, do you believe that the province fully understands the challenges and potential opportunities that the community sees around this and some of those concerns? How well versed are they and how much do they acknowledge that?
Well, I will say how pleased I was that when I asked for the meeting with Minister Dreeshen in the spring, it was immediately set up. That's an indication. Our MLAs live here. Their children live here. They are proud Red Deerians. We have Central Albertans who the minister, for example, all those things, that has a vested interest in the, in the flourishing of this corridor. I think based on my initial discussions and some of the concerns that we expressed, forgive me for getting away from the microphone, which would include a city manager and myself. I think there was one or two others, maybe Mr. Watts. I'm not really sure who was in that meeting in March, and so on. Certainly getting a comfort that, that we understand the concerns of everyone here and so on. And I don't see that changing. I really don't.
Related to that, do you sense that there may be any resolutions that would need to come to council for this project to proceed?
I think it'd be really, really early, other than, this is just me, I'm trying to answer this to the best of my ability. It would be really, really early to be in any way definitive around don't do this, but do this, but take this, but don't do this, and settle this, but don't settle this. The only thing that I can think of is to continue to charge the mayor's office with continuing to work with the ministry and so on an advocacy situation and so on. That would make sense. As city manager was saying, we're probably we don't even have a budget item at this point. We don't even, we being collectively Albertan, the province, doesn't have an item. So again, I'll say speculation doesn't do us any good, and so on. All of us understand the park system and so on. So.
Was there any discussion in regards to community engagement? I know that they've had one session, but is that part of their plan in terms of genuine and authentic public understanding and input?
Yeah, I think so. I'll come to city manager on that because a part of that has been communicated. I know Minister Dreeshen was very open and instigated that initial conversation and so on. So I don't know if members of your team, maybe city manager, can speak to that as well.
So through the mayor, the province has had open houses in our community, and I'll pass it over to administration as to what other information they have in regards to some of the consultation that Alberta Transportation has had.
Through the mayor, throughout the spring season, the city of Red Deer had identified some local groups that may have special ties to the area. And so the ministry has been meeting, the administration for the province has been meeting with interest groups in the area, such as Red Deer River Naturalists, the WEES. I don't have them all in front of me right now, but there has been at least, I think, 5 sessions with special interest groups in addition to the general public consultation that happened in July.
Good. Those are my questions. Thank you to Mayor's Office and City Manager as well for their work on it.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Weinches, please.
Thank you. My question was around community engagement as well, and appreciation to those groups that have met with the province to date and looking after our parks system with their vigilance. My only comment is, will we be asking the provincial government when they arrange these future community sessions not to have them on the same night? Because we had the Alberta panel and that session in the same night, and it was problematic for individuals who wanted to attend. So if we could just pass that on to them to be conscious of other events that they have.
Thank you, Councillor Weinches. We have a meeting, hopefully I get this right, with our MLAs, we being the Mayor's Office, this Friday. We're happy to bring that along and so on and share. Of course, this is why I wanted the item to be at council today so that the public could hear that their council is involved in this. I want to assure my councillors they can be a tough bunch, I'll say, and they've had the spurs in the mayor here. Over the last couple of months, and always with a smile, Councillor Jeffries, and so on. So that won't stop, Councillor Weinches.
Thank you, Mayor. And I just think it's important that, similar to what Council and Administration experience with planning and zoning, that there's an openness, that we request that there be an openness to the ideas and conversations versus this is what we're going to do. Because Red Deerians, as you said, love our park, so making that space for that community engagement and truly speak to the engagement piece. So thank you for that, Mayor, for your work and administration's work, and again, the groups such as WEES and the naturalists and others who are concerned about our watershed.
Yeah, I can certainly tell you, Councillor, that the Chief of Staff is sidecarring the meeting this afternoon, and we're picking up, your suggestions. So, Councillor Lee.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. I was fortunate enough to be a part of that meeting with Mr. Dreesen when you called it on short notice. No, that's not the important part. The important part was, there was a genuine, intention by the minister in the room he asked us as a city who we should consult with. I remember that clearly.
Yes.
Please give me the names of any organization prior to us doing anything that we need to touch base with so we can get authentic feedback. Because his principal intention, I believe, in that room was about, this stretch of road, Mayor Johnson, is not designed to handle 130 kilometers per hour. It's designed to handle 90 kilometers per hour. It's unsafe. So what can we do? What alternative options can we look at to increase the number of traffic counts that is going by there? I think he said 150,000 an hour going down that stretch of road. I found that hard to believe. But those were my notes from that meeting. But he wanted to deal with it transparently ahead of any work going on there, because he knew as soon as they started coring, and we talked about that at the meeting, there would be questions coming from all over the place. So I got to give the credit province on that, because it's not always the case where we get put ahead of the curve in terms of something that's under provincial jurisdiction to do, which is our highways. So I give him a credit to doing that, and the transparency in order to deal with that. I read the report. I just wanted council to know that background, that context of that meeting, and what it had occurred in order to give the consultation process, the community engagement process, what was deserved. So I just want to know that was balanced on both sides of the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I appreciate that. I had not a full memory of who attended, but I appreciate your comments. Thank you. Councillor Hyam.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So I thank my colleagues for all their questions. I have one remaining, which is just for clarity. It says at the bottom of page 67 that Alberta Transportation has done an analysis of the amount of land required and conducted an appraisal of these lands and provided this to the city, and that the city is now conducting its own land appraisal to evaluate, the fairness and equity of the province's appraisal. What if the two don't jive? Like, what is the process if our appraisal comes in, I don't know, considerably higher than the province's?
Through the mayor, when dealing with any land negotiation, it becomes a negotiation. And so appraisals are one part of the negotiation. And so that's all the types of information that we would then bring forward to council as part of the options and considering those when we have that information available. So it will be next council, and
right.
We will then bring that complete package together, because we all know that land value is only one piece of the very important components of this negotiation.
Thank you. And just in terms of process as well, and I know you typically don't like to deal in hypotheticals, but if the council, just following up on Councillor Barnstable, if the next council, let's just say for whatever reason, says unanimously, we do not want to sell this land, because at the end of the day, the city owns the land. And so if in the negotiation process, council says, no, we refuse to sell, does the province have to go through the typical expropriation process that we go through, that a city is required to go through? And that typically takes, I don't know, 3 to 5 years or more. Or does the province have an accelerated sort of by order of King's Council? I don't know. Is there another process that the province can sort of avoid the formal expropriation years that it usually takes?
So through the mayor, it is difficult, as you say, to speculate. And it will be part of that negotiation and all of the options that are available. You are correct in that expropriation can take a lot of time. And we know that time is also a negotiating factor. So from what we have heard, and the mayor had commented on it as well, they are looking for a win-win. And this is not something where that would be a last resort.
I realize that. The question was the expropriation formal process that the city is mandated to follow, which takes, around 5 years typically. Does the province have to follow the same type of process, or can they override that expropriation because municipalities are the creature of the province, is the question.
I'll pass it over to Manager Bear.
Thank you. Through the mayor to council, I think that there's some confusion going on between two different concepts, and you're correct that expropriations where we aren't agreed on price can take a real long time. But what's happening there is the price component. That doesn't stop the body that is expropriating from taking possession and having control of the lands. So while we could get ourselves into a long and protracted negotiation around what the value of that is, it wouldn't prohibit the province or anybody who is expropriating from taking possession.
My question, though, is in the scenario of the council votes unanimously to not sell the land. So it's not a negotiation about price. Council puts their foot down and says, we don't want to sell that land. And then the province's alternative is to expropriate. And in that scenario, do they have to go through the formal expropriation, or can they expedite it by order of council?
Thank you. The Expropriation Act would apply to them the same way it always applies to us.
Okay.
I'm not aware of any precedent of the province expropriating from a municipality.
Okay.
And so I really can't answer whether there might be some sort of fast track. But again, I don't think that they would need a fast track, even if they were following the exact rules that we follow in order to get possession to do the work that they want to do on the land.
And so you lost, I was fine until that last sentence. So if we refuse to sell, they can just come and start using our land?
I'm very sorry to have interrupted. If we refuse to sell, the province can initiate an expropriation process. It is not very long before they are allowed to have possession of the land under the Expropriation Act. If we are disagreeing on price, those negotiations can take some time. That's what takes the time.
Right. So even if you refuse to sell, the same principles apply. Okay. Awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Jeffries, please.
I'm going to beg your patience right now because I have a whole list. Thank you.
Just stay within the clock, Councillor.
Councillor Lee mentioned that in your meeting with Minister Dreeshen that the concern of safety was raised as one of the reasons the province is pursuing the project. Were there other reasons why they're pursuing this? What is what's their why, as Councillor Bruma would say?
I will say, and again with appreciation to Councillor Lee, I will say that safety was capital S in this for sure. I'm thinking, I've been in Red Deer since 1996. It used to be a fairly linear process to get across town. But with the ramp systems now, 32nd Street maturing, all that kind of good stuff, etc. Even Google Maps is sending us out to Highway 2. Somebody wants to go to the Alberta Hall of Fame from my house, you got to go out on Highway 2. There is another way to get there, a lot more civil, frankly, especially at my age, way to get there, and that kind of thing. So, you know, the why, as expressed to us, was the safety factor for sure.
Okay, thank you. Did they indicate that there's any other options that they've looked at, maybe in discussion with administration? I don't know.
No, at that time, and I'll defer to Councillor Lee just to make sure that I'm good here. At that time, the message on our end was to consult early, to consult across the board. Thank you, Councillor Lee, for reminding me that we did provide a list to the minister's office and so on. And that formed the basis, I think, for a consultation strategy from the province. Councillor Lee, did you wish to add on that?
Just to her question, if I recall right, and city manager can ring in if I'm a little bit gray on the areas, when they did talk about options, I believe they looked at the most economical option that would allow for 4 lanes of traffic to go from the 67th Street right through to the 32nd Street Bridge. And they were, I remember it because I don't know who it was, but we asked about the land that was being sterilized where the current bridge would be. And what use that would be, and I said, well, if you're going to do it, what about just gifting that to the city? And then he also talked about the potential of the least amount of intrusion to the Maskepetoon area. So I think they even showed us that diagram where it cut the minimal amount of land from that perspective from the 67th Street. So I think they were mentioning, well, look, there's trails on there already. There's already traffic, quads, trucks going down that one side already where they were planning on going. That's all I can recall.
Thank you very much. Did they provide any stats on the number of accidents that have happened on that stretch of highway, or not giving us that amount of detail, perhaps?
No, not in the meeting that I was in. Councillor Jeffries and admin may have that in subsequent conversations and so on. So I'll just ask City Manager.
Through the mayor, we've been provided, like in general terms, that of the stretch of Highway 2, this is one of the area where they see the most accidents and conflicts. And so it is higher on their prioritized of where to make improvements. So just in general terms, I don't have any specific stats for you.
Okay. Thank you. Have any land negotiations begun with the city, or we've just talked about potential pieces that they'd be interested in?
So at this point, there are no negotiations on the table. They need to figure out, based on the testing, design, and all of those pieces, what they want to put forward. We would be bringing a proposal forward. So there's nothing saying, here, city, take this, and coming back. So no, none of that. These are all ideas at this point in time.
Okay, thank you. On page, I think it was 67, talks about 67, 68 maybe, talks about some potential drilling taking place in December, January of coming up. Is that normal to do that prior to having budget approval? And what kind of impact might it have on the parks?
So through the mayor, I'm not an engineer, but I do know when you are looking at doing infrastructure design and figuring out what it's going to cost, you have to make sure that you have this particular soils, you have the foundation elements and all of those pieces figured out, because that has large impacts on costs. So they did, because if you are doing any work in any of our lands that are zoned A2 environmental preservation, you do need to obtain permits. And we then go through, what do you want to do? How are you going to access? Is there a better time of year, maybe when it's frozen, for you to do that? So we look after that. When it comes to the rivers, that's a different body. That is not the City of Red Deer.
Okay. City Manager, could you also speak to the process that we'll go through, assuming the province comes forward with a proposal of some sort of their plan or their desire, discussions on land? What would our process be for the assessment of the land that they might want to trade with us if there's a trade option, or the assessment of the land we might lose?
So through the mayor, there are many options. It's not just whether you take land value and cash. There are other options in negotiation for trade or adding additional infrastructure elements. There's lots of options, and I think we need to be open-minded to look at all options for what is the best outcome for our community.
Thank you. And I think my final question is around the public consultation. And Councillor Barnstable started us off by asking what the city's role was in this. And I appreciated the response that it does have an impact on our citizens and on our park system. And so I appreciate the clarification and understanding there. In talking to a few citizens about this, they felt that the one public engagement session that the province had was not announced very early, or not given enough notice prior to the event, and that there was really only one opportunity. For many people, this issue wasn't even, and maybe still isn't even, on their radar screen. So does the city have a role in helping people understand that this is an issue coming forward? Any kind of communication, I assume it'll get picked up today a little bit from our media who's present, but do we have a role to inform taxpaying citizens in our community of issues that might impact them?
So through the mayor, two things. One, we don't control the province,
right,
and the mayor was able to influence to do additional consultations, and the deputy in that meeting. When it comes to having something in front of us from the province, the council of the day may choose to additional consultation and information out to our community, because it's within our decision, and council can then choose what information they need to make that decision, of which consultation could be part of that in the new year.
Thank you very much. That's the end of my questions. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Jeffries. Thank you. Councillor Barnstable, please.
I just have comments. So
good. Comments? Okay. I'll just stay with questions if we Councillor Burma.
Just wondering in regards to any other impacts it could have on the adjacent part of our city. With regards to things, and this may be getting in a bit of a detail, but with regards to access to things like the Alberta Sports Hall of Fame and Heritage Ranch and pieces like that, from what I've seen on the plans, there may be some change to that. Has there been any discussion in regards to that off-ramp and its impact on those amenities that are there?
I'll just go to City Manager on that. Councillor Burma.
And I'm going to pass it over to GM Tiddamore.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
Through the mayor, the section that is currently planned for and has budget approval is just the rail line overpass that's about 2 kilometers north of the city. They're still in the design phases of the section B, which would be in future years and future budget approvals. And as that comes along, there'd certainly be some conversations. They're talking about 8 lanes. I think Councillor Lee said 4, but I think he meant each side. 8 lanes across in that section from 32nd Street to 67th Street. So we'd certainly work with them on what access continued to look like.
Okay, I guess just given that those are major amenities, it would be something that I think is important that we get that, as well as the impact to the adjacent neighborhoods that could be impacted. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Burma. All right, Council, I'm not seeing questions. This is an information piece. Really, I think I really appreciate administration putting this together quickly for council. It is very, very appreciated. For sure, particularly given the weight of the issue in the community. So, council, I'll invite comments on it, knowing that we don't have a resolution. At some point in time, we will, of course, and so on. But I'll go to you, Councillor Barnstable. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. Just a couple of quick comments to make here. Just first and foremost, if you go to alberta.ca's website, they have a pretty clear diagram, outline, information, phasing, all that sort of stuff as to what their plans are. Pretty easy to see with a quick Google search. You can get there very easily. So if you want to have a little more information about what was spoken today, pretty easy to find. Secondly, I will just say that sitting on both RDRWA and RDR Mugs, I have a meeting with both groups this upcoming week, one on Thursday, one on Friday. I know there's already been preliminary discussions from RDRWA. And I guess for the members of the public, RDRWA and RDR Mugs stands for Red Deer River Watershed Alliance and Red Deer River Municipal Users Group. They're aware of the project. They're starting to form conversations. Information's coming out. I'm assuming that they were one of the few groups that was suggested of being met with. But I'll gather a lot more information from their perspectives, both on Thursday and Friday. So, council, if the reason won't be at the United Way lunch is because I'll be at RDR Mugs, and there's some important conversations that are having both on Thursday and Friday. So, I'll be able to have a lot more information based on those meetings to see where both those groups sit. Specifically, RDRWA is more specific to them than it would be to the RDR Mugs group. So, I look forward to those conversations, and I'll report back to council with anything that's been addressed in those. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Barnstable. Councillor Lee, please.
Just to point out the same on that website, alberta.ca, the road project widening, Highway 2 widening, they actually have the presentation that they delivered on the July 15th community engagement thing for anybody to look at. Safety is the highlighted concern on there, and it tells why, traffic, all that other sort of things. But that's just for the public's knowledge if they didn't see that either. So that presentation is there.
Thank you, Councillor Lee. Councillor, are there any other comments? Councillor Jeffries.
Thank you very much. I think that it's important for council to stay engaged in this issue. It's not that I want to get in the way of the province, but I think we need to encourage them to do their best work and to do the best work for our community. So I would be prepared to put forward a resolution that asks for ongoing advocacy and communication from the mayor's office regarding this item. Mostly I'm recognizing a new council's coming forward, and it's mostly to keep it on the work plate, if you will. Not prescribing what they should do or what action they should take, but I don't think it should fall off our radar screen. There are significant impacts to our public park system, and there are significant impacts to neighborhoods adjacent to this space. I think we need to keep it front and center. So I'd be prepared to make a motion to ask the mayor's office for ongoing advocacy and communication. I think about other stretches on Highway 2 that I think are more dangerous than that section. I'm thinking of that flyover thing at Leduc. I know of a person at least who has been killed there. And I'm not trying to get into the province's workload or how assign priorities for them, but I think there are other areas as well. Outreach to neighborhoods is really important, given that they missed part of Oriole Park.
What I was going to say, Councillor, is let's bring that motion, and that will free you up to speak to it.
Thank you.
And so on. I have a seconder. We haven't even seen it yet, so that's pretty efficient. You haven't seen it yet, Councillor. No, I'm just kidding. City Clerk is capturing it.
Thank you.
Councillor Jeffries. So
getting ahead of myself. I was trying to be efficient.
Did you need a few minutes, Jess?
I have taken a go at it. I was trying not to use that word. And see if this is what Councillor Jeffries had in mind. I'll just get Legislative Services to bring that up.
Council, I'm going to go and call a 5-minute recess, just so we can get the moving pieces put together. And I've already seen one councillor jump ship. So let's let's see you back here at 3:10. Now to the business of council. With appreciation for administration in bringing that item, it appears we have the motion. I'll go to you, Councillor Jeffries, to see if this is what you desired.
Thank you very much. I believe it's captured the intent, and mostly it's, as I say, just to put it on the radar screen of the next council, mayor and council, make sure we don't drop this. It's an important issue going forward for our community.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Jeffries. So we have a seconder, council, in Councillor Barnstable. Thank you. I think that's fitting, Councillor Barnstable, with your work in the water files. And so, council, do we have any? Is Councillor Heim still with us? Okay. All right. Got him at both ends are gone. Council, are there any questions on the motion at all? Councillors, I was just calling for questions on the motion. I'll just give you an opportunity to read the motion. All right, I'll ask again, Council, if there are questions on the motion. Seeing none, Councillor Jeffries, would you like to lead up? You're good. You've said, okay, thank you. Are there councillors that wish to comment on the motion? All right, Council, I'm not seeing. I will say, Councillor Jeffries, thank you for bringing this this afternoon. It's certainly congruent with my own wishes here, which I appreciate. It was on our list anyway, but I think formalizing it this way gives the public a look into the mayor's office, if you will, and that's very helpful in that context. And certainly, as you say, I mean, obviously this is our last council meeting of our term. It will be a continuing item then. The one thing, just having some levity here, if you might, our chief of staff is not running for election, so he'll be around after October 20, and therefore will be engaged in the issue. So if there's nothing else, Council, we'll call the question on Councillor Jeffries' motion. And that carries unanimously. Thank you, Council. Council, we'll move on now to, I'll just go back to the item, to the parking update, which is item 3.3.